This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Ice Cube's Big Three is the surprise hit of the summer. This Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS with playoff elimination on the line. The most physical, fiercest, and competitive basketball in the world. Miami's Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson must win to make the playoffs. And breakout star Dwight Howard of the LA Riot will battle Gary Payton's Boston squad in a do-or-die match for both teams. 6 teams are alive for 4 spots and all must win. There's no crying in the Big Three. And the no-holds-barred action starts Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Presented by iHeart.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/iHeart. That's greenlight.com/iHeart.
Need to go if you just heard all the great fantasy advice I've been giving this week. But if you feel like you want a second opinion on some fantasy advice, go ahead and go to Treasure Island Resort and Casino on Friday night. Now time now for
5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. Panic or patience?
Now, I usually wouldn't do this. Lead with something Green Bay related because I know
That's
better.
not you.
Yeah, I actually don't. I try not to. But this is like the top, like if you look on the 4-letter website or Bleacher Report's the top thing on there. So I think it's fair.
J-Love?
Jordan Love is set to undergo surgery on his left thumb, a minor procedure. They expect him to be back even before week 1, but at least by week 1. I need you to take off the purple glasses.
Yeah.
Try to put on the smelly, cheesy green and gold glasses. Should Packer fans have?
Panic or patience?
Over the injury?
Yeah. It's an injury to QB1.
No, it's left thumb for a right-handed throwing quarterback. There's nothing to be concerned with. There's zero worries. Even if the left thumb wasn't fully healthy, like you can go play. You put I suppose he's going to be able to take the snap, I suppose. But
Got to hand the ball off.
Throw some Robitussin on it and get out. Play. You can play the whole season with a bum left thumb. You'll be okay. You don't need to. You're not throwing with it. So I think there is zero panic when it comes to the health of Jordan Love. Now, I do feel like Packers fans, and even this probably goes further than just Packers fans. I think it's like a national thing too. I think nationally, is it Tannenbaum for ESPN who thinks like Jordan Love's like the next great thing at the quarterback position? He ain't a rookie anymore. He's a solid quarterback. He's a quality quarterback. I haven't seen signs of an elite quarterback. And this isn't now where you're like in year 1, year 2, and you're ascending, and you still like. Is this like year 6 for him?
It's year 3
as a starter.
Correct.
I'm talking
the
about
live bullets are flying
in the
now.
NFL. Is it year 5?
I think it's year 6.
Year 5, year 6, right? So he ain't a young guy anymore. So at some point you are what you are, and that's not bad. He's fine. He's a quarterback that if you put it, let's face it, like he's in that Kirk Cousins mold where if you put everything around him that's really good, then you can win. But you need to put everything around, and that's a little harder when you're paying that much money to a guy like that to put everything around perfectly, and he can't elevate others. I think, and I know you're looking at me like, no, how dare you throw Jordan Love in Kirk Cousins category? And I'm not saying they're
a little offensive.
They're not the same type of quarterback. I'm just saying, like, I even saw an NFL tiers thing recently. I was going to get to it at some point, maybe this week, that showed like 50 anonymous executives and GMs and head coaches and offensive coordinators put all the quarterbacks into tiers, right? You have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Jordan Love was 13 or 14 on that list. which is fine. You can win with a quarterback in that range. I just don't know if he's as elite as maybe Packers fans want to think he is. He'll be good. They'll be in playoff consideration.
He's never missed the playoffs as a quarterback. 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
That's great.
And it's only 9 wins first year, 11 wins the next.
Yeah, and they were third in the division last year.
11 wins, 11 wins.
Third in the
I don't
division.
care. You ended the season the same week. Doesn't matter.
We had Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Your team finished
fine.
And I'm not saying like Jordan Love's bad. See, that's the problem is you're taking this as, I'm just saying.
I'm more playing along than I am
upset. People think he's an ascending player. He's been in the league long enough where like eventually you only have so long for that to ascension to happen.
Yeah.
And at some point you are what you are and he's just a quality quarterback. He's fine. Yeah. But at some point for him to take the next step, you probably got to have a Justin Jefferson type player with him, and that ain't going to happen in Green Bay.
I think this year has to be the leap year. I agree with you there.
Okay.
If you're going to, but I don't like the 6 year in the NFL thing. I think when the real bullets start flying, that's when your clock starts. So that's where we disagree. But I agree.
Aaron Rodgers' clock didn't start year 6.
Well,
he jumped right in and he was great.
I don't think that's true. I think his first year starting, they won like 5 games.
The second year, they were going to the big game, weren't they?
Third.
Third year. Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Could be on pace. Anyways.
Question number 2.
Back to your regularly scheduled programming of...
Go Vikings, let's win this game. You'll hear us yell for more.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the state of the skull.
So I found a list, which we love, noon to 3, of winners and losers from every game in week 1 of preseason.
The preseason games?
Yes.
Okay.
So I looked at the winners for the Vikings-Texans game.
Are you going after individual players that are winners? Is that what you're saying?
This particular list could go any which direction.
Okay.
They have the winner for the whole game as the Vikings cornerback depth.
Ooh.
Vikings projected starting quarterbacks Jeff Okudah and Isaiah Rodgers saw action early in the game. There were others that had I'm paraphrasing. Others that had interceptions on 3 consecutive drives. Personally, I think that's because Graham Mertz is not very good. But still, it looks. Let's see if it allows the Vikings to be flexible in their coverage in case the new starters underperform early in the season. My question to you: did this list?
Time now for...
And to get it right. We got it right. To get it out when we got it right. And that's when we got it right.
And to get it right.
Get this right.
Getting things right to get it right.
Did they get it right?
If we're getting it right now, get things right.
That the Vikings cornerbacks were the winners?
The big winners from this game.
I don't know if I could narrow it strictly down to the corners. I would just say the defense in general. One, those interceptions, 2 of them were from a safety who might not even make the team.
Yeah.
The Halaze or Hennessy or whatever his last name is.
Yep. There's a reason I skipped over that.
Ambry Thomas got the other one. I don't know what position he plays. Maybe he's a corner. Maybe he's in that cornerback depth. Maybe he's a safety. I don't know. I would just say defensively, I mean, they were getting to the quarterback's name that you just mentioned that I don't know who that is for the Houston Texans.
Graham Mertz.
They're putting pressure on him. The secondary overall, not just the corners, did a great job. So I don't know if I could specifically go right to the cornerback position, but I can't argue against it because they clearly played well, other than the one drive Davis Mills marched up and down the field against us. But sure, I would just say depth in general, the defensive depth, because second half, Houston couldn't get a sniff of the end zone on that Minnesota Vikings defense, and that's when all the turnovers happen as well. So I'll just go defensive depth in general.
I've got one more quickie, if you'd like.
Is it a follow-up question?
It's not, but you'll enjoy it.
Oh, you're saying for after this one.
Question number 3.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
I think the most Minnesota Wild signing of all time happened yesterday. Jack Johnson, I don't even know how old he is. He's very long.
He's almost my age at this point.
It's a PTO. It doesn't mean anything. You shouldn't get the pitchforks out and start heading to St. Paul. But it is still like of course they're bringing in this guy. Do you think there's does Jack Johnson have anything left in the tank that he could possibly give if Brodin, stays hurt or something goes wrong in the defensive core that he could come back?
I don't think he's had anything in the tank for a while.
Yeah.
So it's been years and years since he's had anything. Now, pretty decorated, pretty good career. I don't know if he ever lived up to the original hype. Jack Johnson was thought of as a prospect to be like future Norris winning elite defenseman. And he had a solid career.
Played for USA at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, he won a silver for him. He was in the World Juniors. Pretty good. Went to University of Michigan, had a good career. Can't believe he's still playing, frankly.
Yeah.
At 2025, at his age, he's been around a long time. I think this would be, if he made the team, it'd be year 20 for him, which is pretty crazy.
He's 38.
I'm not really going to comment too much on the let's face it, like Jack Johnson's here in case all heck goes loose and you need a warm body. It does now go back to, though, given we are signing, well, I shouldn't say signing, given that Jack Johnson is trying out as Jonas Brodin insurance, I am starting to go, well, why did we trade Declan Chisholm for like a bag of pucks at the NHL draft? When your other left-handed defenseman now, if Brodin is hurt to start the season, which, it sounds like he's going to be, right? From everything you're hearing, they're preparing. I don't know how long into the season they're going to go without Brodin, but it sounds like Brodin's not going to be ready for the beginning. So your left-handed defensemen now are Jake Middleton, quality player.
He's good. I like him.
And Zeev Buium, who might end up being an absolute stud, but this is year 2 and he's 19 years old. And you are going to be depending on him from the get-go. Now, I think he's going to be eventually a good player. I just don't know if in 2025 he's going to be a good player. But you're going to have to roll with him if Brodin's hurt. And all of a sudden, so now I look at him like, Declan Chisholm, if Buium wasn't completely ready to be playing 20 minutes a night and leading your power play, like Declan Chisholm was a functional left-handed defenseman that could play second pairing minutes for you and it can play on the power play in a pinch. So now that move seems curious to me. If we knew Brodin wasn't going to be healthy, why we traded Declan Chisholm? Obviously on the right side, Spurgeon, Faber. Who's the other young defenseman? That's the other thing. We also had, what's his name? The big right-handed guy that we got in the trade last year.
Oh, Juracek. They traded a first-round pick for.
Well, they traded more than a first-round pick.
Yeah.
But even him, he's right-handed and he's not playing the exact same position as your lefties are going to fill in. But that's another guy, a young guy you were counting. We might have 2 very young players in that top 6. And I thought, well, maybe you could have held on to Declan Chisholm and got a little insurance. So I would be a little concerned about the blue line to start the season. We'll see. Unfortunately, they don't give us a whole lot of information on the status of these injuries and what type of injury. All we know, it's an upper body injury. That's it.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Twins Talk with the Twins geek. John Bonus is next right here on the Tennafitzgerald.
The reviews and ratings are in, and Ice Cube's Big 3 is the surprise hit of the summer. This Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS, with playoff elimination on the line, the stars will be flocking to Los Angeles to witness the most physical, fiercest, and competitive basketball in the world. Miami's Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson must win over Houston to make the playoffs, reeling from last week's savage beating at the hands of Chicago's possessed Montrezl Harrell. Last time these teams met, Miami beat Houston, but they are a dangerous team having their manhood at stake. Then breakout star Dwight Howard of the LA Riot will battle Gary Payton's Boston squad in a do-or-die match for both teams. Will LA avenge their previous shocking loss to perennial basketball Boston rivals to survive? 6 teams are allowed for 4 spots and all must win. Don't miss the Big 3, the 3-on-3 basketball league everyone is talking about. There's no crying in the Big 3, and the no-holds-barred action starts Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, followed by 2 games on Vice starting at 6:30 Eastern, presented by iHeart.
chime in what's happening with your favorite KFAN shows. You can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. So let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That is 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
Yeah, let's talk a little Minnesota Twins. And we're going to talk Minnesota Twins. We got to have John Bonus from the Gleeman and the Geek podcast and from twinsdaily.com in to talk about your Minnesota Twins. Hi, Johnny. How are you?
How we doing?
Doing great. How are you? You seem like you're always in a good mood. I'm a little jealous of that.
Well, yeah, I guess I am kind of. I mean,
it's going to be Johnny Bonus, isn't it?
It's gorgeous out there. It's okay to be John Bonus. You're right. Yeah, it's not a bad life right now. We've managed to craft.
Now, first question for you, and Brett knows this well. As Wild fans, there was a 3-4 year stretch that anytime we heard the name the Chicago Blackhawks, we did this.
The Blackhawks.
Yeah.
What is like your mental approach when you know a Twins-Yankees series coming up? Like, it's got to just completely have beaten you down by this point.
It's resignation. Yeah, at this point. Yeah, it's absolute resignation. And it's, you know, I was trying to think of like what music we would have. It'd have to be something like from the 90s. Right? It'd have to be something Spice Girls-ish or something scary. Yeah, because it's just been so bad for so long. You know, I think after the trade deadline, you could take a look at this series and gone. But the truth is, you could have said that at any point because the Yankees have just killed the Twins now for 20 years. The truth is that the Yankees have killed the Twins since before they were the Twins. Before they were the Twins, they were the Washington Senators. And you never heard
the Yankees were pretty good back then.
Right. And the Yankees were pretty good back then, too. Yeah. And the Washington Senators were what? First in peace, first in war, last in the American League. That was Washington, right? And it was, you've heard the musical, The Damn Yankees?
Yeah.
That was about the Yankees owning the Washington Senators. Prior to, Kirby Puckett hitting the enormous home run in Game 6 of 1991, the most famous, infamous home run in Twins history was probably the day before the All-Star break in 1965 when the Twins were actually looking like they were a good team, but they still had this Yankees thing on their back. This is 1965. They'd only been the Twins for 5 years, but they'd also been the Senators before that for 60 years, right? Killebrew hit a home run to walk off the Yankees the game before the All-Star break, and that was the most infamous home run in Twins history up until 1991 when Puckett
that was pretty infamous
tomorrow night, right? Yeah, that up until that
it's gonna be hard to top that one.
That's gonna be top. I'm sure Harmon is happy to be in second place.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not just been a 20-year thing, although we think of it that way because that's certainly when they started beating us in the postseason, because that's when we started making the postseason. But the truth is that this has been a 120-year owning. By the Yankees, or 100-year. So yeah, I don't get too worked up about it. I just kind of, I hope to get one out of the three. I think a lot of times the Yankees sort of lose interest at one point, and the Twins manage to sneak one in there, and then we'll move on to the next one, which is the 4-game set versus Detroit at home. So.
I don't know, and I apologize. I haven't listened to your podcast. I haven't heard your thoughts on the trade deadline. I know it's been a while now, and we've been past it, but. Seems like a lot of Twins fans, in my opinion, rightfully so, angry about what transpired there. How did you feel about it?
So we did a Patreon the night of the trade deadline all that news came down within like hours of it happening, and so we're both clearly trying to process it all as that's going on. And then we did another one on the free side. You can download still Sunday afternoon. I think Aaron is probably I think he's definitely more down on it than I was. Overall, I mean, I was disappointed in some of the returns they got. I generally agree with the philosophy. Like, for instance, the 5 guys who are going to be free agents, got no problem with moving any of those guys, right? Your Castro, Danny Coulomb, Harrison Bader, all those guys need to be, if you're not going to go for it, and I didn't believe this team should be going for it.
Sure.
They were 6 games under 500 at the time, and they looked terrible. Those 5 have to go. So that's 5 right away. I was also expecting at least a couple of bullpen arms to be traded. And when the Duran thing happened the day before, I had no problem with that one. I thought it was a fair return what they got. It wasn't we really stuck them on this trade. It wasn't that, but in retrospect, they got two pretty good prospects back in that. And I expected probably at least one other guy to be traded. I expected Jax or Stewart to be traded. I did not expect the Correa deal, but once I saw what the deal was, my reaction was I would have taken that trade if I was Falvey. Like as disappointing as this year has been, as hurt as he was last year, as hurt as he was the year before that, paying him $36 million a year, and being on the hook for $32 million for each of the next 3 years, to be able to get him off the books and save yourselves $20-some million for each of those next 3 years, with the only team that he would approve a trade to, considering he has a no trade clause. I actually don't hate that trade at all. I think that's a pretty good way to kind of try and reset things, provided that money gets spent, that $20 million gets spent on
that's a big if
team.
there, John.
Well, I mean, that's what Aaron's point on that is. I don't think it's that big of an if. I think you take a look at what the payroll level has been the last 2 years. It's been $130 million. I don't expect it to go down to 110 because they saved $20 million on Correa. And their baseline payroll, like if they're just bringing back the guys they should be bringing back and paying them arbitration money, et cetera, is like $90 to $95 million. So that gives them a good... If I'm following and looking at that and I'm going, for the first time in 2 years, I've got $30 to $35 million to go out and spend on some guys, I'll take that trade. I would do that. Where it gets a little questionable is when you, instead of trading two of the relievers, you trade, or 2 to 3 of the relievers, you trade 5 relievers, including the Varland trade.
Yeah. And
especially because I did not love the return they got for Brock Stewart. I don't understand that trade at all. And the Varland trade, I mean, I guess it depends how excited you are about that prospect. And for the Griffin Jax trade, it depends how excited you are about Taj Bradley. And opinions vary widely on what Taj Bradley could or could not be.
Sure.
In terms of things. So I think on those ones, time will tell. But I think a lot of the anger was just sort of a recognition that 2020, final recognition that 2023 and that cycle was over. And it just took people 2 years. I think it had been building for 2 years. And for 2 years, since basically the checkbook had got hard shut and they really could not continue to improve the team. And where Correa can say, things went sideways. This is not what I signed up for. I mean, it just happened. Falvey recognized it, that was over, that this group wasn't going to do it, and he made some big changes. And I understand the anger about it. I'm angry about it too, but my anger goes back 2 years to the Pohlad ownership.
Yep.
On the middle of an upswing. And really, the one time you need to invest in that, to the point where, you have built up for this for, I was going to say 5 years because that's how long Falvey was around. But really, you can go all the way back to 2011. They've been building up to that point in 2023.
Yeah.
And then that is exactly the point at which when you need to invest another $20 to $30 million to go from, hey, this is a really good team to this is a possible world championship team that's going to create generations of Twins fans. And instead, they did the exact opposite. Falvey had so little money that offseason that he had to trade away Jorge Polanco just to get $10 million to sign Carlos Santana for 5, right? And then the next year, had enough money to go and throw a couple bucks at Colomb, a couple bucks at Ty France, a little bit of Harrison Bader, with the expectation being, I know I'm probably exceeding my budget. I'll just trade them away at the trade deadline and get back the money.
Sure.
And which they did. And I think you can be furious about the fact that they went out and saved $26 million at the trade deadline off of this year's salary and $70 million off of the next 3 years' salary. But I think if I'm the manager and if I'm Falvey and I'm working with a budget, that's the tough decision you have to make. You have to make, and you have to make that decision because that's the position you've been put in by ownership.
All right, I want to ask you about the attendance dropping, and then some of these guys, get to know them on your current Minnesota Twins.
All right.
We'll do that one big long segment with John Bonus from Gleeman and the Geek and TwinsDaily.com next.
The reviews and ratings are in, and Ice Cube's Big 3 is the surprise hit of the summer. This Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS, with playoff elimination on the line, the stars will be flocking to Los Angeles to witness the most physical, fiercest, and competitive basketball in the world. Miami's Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson must win over Houston to make the playoffs, reeling from last week's savage beating at the hands of Chicago's possessed Montrezl Harrell. Last time these teams met, Miami beat Houston, but they are a dangerous team having their manhood at stake. Then breakout star Dwight Howard of the LA Riot will battle Gary Payton's Boston squad in a do-or-die match for both teams. Will LA avenge their previous shocking loss to perennial basketball Boston rivals to survive? 6 teams are allowed for 4 spots, and all must win. Don't miss the Big 3, the 3-on-3 basketball league everyone is talking about. There's no crying in the Big 3, and the no-holds-barred action starts Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, followed by 2 games on Vice starting at 6:30 Eastern, presented by iHeart.
Gear up for a hilarious night when Dane Cook returns to the Island Event Center. See his legendary style of stand-up comedy live at Treasure Island Friday, October 24th. Get all the details now, ticasino.com.
Oh, Dane, he's so hilarious. John, you do have one of the best laughs on KFAN and on the Power Trip.
I think that's the only reason they have me on there, because I'm not clever enough to keep up with those guys. Those guys are amazing.
Well, you are like... Stand-up comedians should pay you just to show up to their sets and just sit,
I couldn't agree more.
And just sit in the first row.
Yes, exactly.
Because laughing is contagious, and you like. Not only do you have a great laugh, but you laugh at a lot of things.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
that is true. Yes,
and it's like knee slapping laughs. You don't giggle. You laugh.
This is also why Gleeman likes me as a co-host, is I'm the one person he laughs at his jokes. So here's the quips.
Let's talk about. I saw this in the Star Tribune today.
Okay.
That they're kind of doing this overview of the history of Target Field and the franchise and how the struggles since then and the attendance struggles, and they mentioned how attendance has dropped 43% since 2010, with this season culminating in one of the worst in Target Field history. Twins are on pace to sell 1.8 million tickets this year, down from 1.95 million last year. After averaging 24,094 fans per game last season, the Twins are now averaging 22,298. Now, I think what you mentioned earlier about what the Twins did in 2023 after they had the Bomba squad the years before that, and they finally got over the hump. They won the playoff series, won a game, then won a playoff series, and it felt like Twins fans were sky high, and then they slashed payroll. I think that was the first moment where a good chunk of the fan base thought, maybe this ownership doesn't want. Mm-hmm. Maybe they think finance is over winning at all times.
Right.
And I feel like the Poleads have never been able to recapture whatever grace they had from the fan base since then. And I think it's now being reflected by the attendance. Yeah. And after the trade, now the Twins with some of these young guys in Keishel, and we'll get to him in a second, have had some moments since the trade deadline to maybe get Twins fans excited again. But I could see a scenario here over the last month and a half where attendance is going to be pretty low at Target Field.
So here's what you need to understand about attendance. Attendance is a lagging indicator of success. So if you have a really good 2023, you will see that bump in 2024.
Yeah.
Right?
We saw that for the World Series.
More so than you'll see that in 2023, right? It is always a lagging indicator of success. And Star Tribune mentioned they're on pace for about 1.8 million. They were at 1.8 million in 2022. That was where they ended in 2022. Okay. 2023, they had a fair amount of success that helps attendance a little bit. Got up to 1.975 million, just 25,000 short of 2 million in 2023. And then now, because that's a lagging indicator, even though they said, listen, we're not investing in this team, people were angry. There was all the talk about right-sizing the payroll. Last year, they had 1.95 million, right? They only fell down 25,000. And that's because I've heard this from people in the ticket sales office at the Twins. 85% of all your tickets for the entire year are sold before opening day.
Yep.
Right? It's just season tickets. And those all count. Whether the people show up or not, that counts as a ticket sold. It counts as attendance, right? Well, what we've seen this year is the lagging indicator from last year falling apart for 2 years, or for the last 2 months of the season.
After they had cut payroll.
Yep. After they cut payroll, then they fell apart, and then they stuck with that payroll, and they were up for sale.
Yep.
And yeah, we're seeing a low attendance again. And I think if we continue to hold the hard line on payroll, and the team doesn't get sold, and they come out of this season, with a good lottery pick because they are, the fourth worst team in the American League, something like that, we're going to see a further depressing attendance next year. Like at some point,
especially if the poll ads are still owners. I'd like to think it's going to be sold, but if for some reason the team isn't sold,
right? Exactly.
I think people are not going to be supporting them.
So Aaron had Aaron wrote about this attendance thing, I don't know, a couple months ago in The Athletic, and his point was, the poll ads treated this team like a business. And they're right. They can treat it like a business. But who else can treat it like a business?
The fans.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're not doing it for us, we're not going to pay up, and we're not going to do it. And once you make it clear that the attitude towards this team is going to be that of a business, all right, we'll treat it like a business. You asked for it. You're going to get it. And I think that is a lot of what we are seeing with the attendance this year. I'm optimistic. I'm still optimistic. I'm not as optimistic for 2026 as I was for 2025, but I'm still a little optimistic that the team can be somewhat competitive in 2026, especially if they use some of that money that they saved to go out and get some hitters, because that is the true problem here. I understand the challenge that awaits them in the bullpen now.
Yeah.
But I will say this, that is the one thing this Falvey regime, there are a lot of things I can point to as areas they need to work on. Developing a bullpen has not been one of them. They've been pretty good at finding good arms for the bullpen. There's a reason they were able to trade 5 relievers away to other teams.
Sure.
Right? Because they've got some good arms. Now, they don't always get all the results that you want. They don't hold as this year, for instance, as good of statistics as they had. They seem to come through in some pretty unclutched times. But I've got a fair amount of faith that stuff will even out over time. So I'm not ready to write off the 2026 season. But that said, if ownership continues to sort of treat this as, a rebuilding year, or something we're not going to invest in, or, simply a business, then I'm not surprised at all if the fans treat it as a business and attendance continues to fall.
All right, let's talk about some current actual on-the-field stuff with the Minnesota Twins. Luke Keeschel. Last night was the first night he didn't have a hit, and his hitting streak ends, his on-base streak ends, but gone through a stretch here for 2 weeks where he's just tearing the cover off the ball. I'm not going to act like I knew a lot about Luke Keeschel.
Well, not a lot of people did.
So where was he in terms of being a prospect? He
entered this year as our number 3 prospect.
Okay. I guess I'm wondering how excited we should be over a small sample because I saw I was ready to offer Miguel Sano 8 years, $80 million after 1 month in Major League Baseball. We were seeing Royce Lewis comparisons to Kirby Puckett through a stretch there. Yep. So tell me how excited I'm supposed to be off of this 2 weeks of Luke Keeschel.
You're pretty excited. I mean, I love the fact that you raised Miguel Sano's name in this, because this year with Keeschel reminds me a lot of the reaction we had in 2015 to Miguel Sano. Miguel Sano came up mid-season. That team was not supposed to do anything. He's a very different player than Luke Keeschel, and he's got a very different sort of rise to the majors than Luke Keeschel did. Miguel Sano
looks like he should be playing for the Savannah Bananas. He's got that look to him.
Yeah, he does. Well, he also looks. Miguel Sano signed with the Twins when he was 16 years old. Keeschel looks like he's 16 years old. Miguel Sano, we'd followed him through the majors for 6 years, or through the minors for 6 years to get to the point where he was. Keeschel has shot up the minor leagues in basically 2 years. And one of those years he was basically out with, or for a good chunk of both of those years, he was out with Tommy John surgery. So he was still a second round draft pick. So he's not out of nowhere. He had a really good year last year at high A and double A, even after, while playing through an elbow injury in which they knew they were going to need Tommy John surgery. And he just kept playing because they would just put him at DH where he didn't have to throw, and he could still swing the bat well. And he just kept playing until got to the point where, like, beginning of August, they said, okay, if we do the surgery now, you'll be ready for the season next year. You're ready to stop. And he was like, yep, ready to stop. I'll be ready for the season next year. We watched him in spring training. He got all kinds of praise from Rocco Baldelli in spring training. There were plenty of times where, you see these mix of spring training lineups, but a lot of the times the way it works is all the starters play together in one game, and then the next game, all the backups play together. And you would see all the starters playing together and Luke Keeschel is DH. And partly that's because they couldn't put him in the field yet because he was still recovering from the Tommy John surgery, right? And we asked Baldelli about it. Like, that's odd that you're just sticking this one guy who, has been as high as AA last year. That's as high as he got in with all of the major leagues. And has he earned that? Is that because he has earned it? And the answer was he hadn't thought of it that way, but that's what he said. Yeah, you're right. He has earned it. Like, he's showing me what he can do. The guy can hit and he can run. And he was number 3 on the Twins daily list coming into this season. He was a top 100 prospect along Major League Baseball. So it's been a quick ascension. And as a result, I think like a lot of people haven't heard that much about him. But he's a legit prospect. He's not just somebody that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He offers a skill set that looks like it's going to hold up well to long-term success in the major leagues. He doesn't have the power that Sano has. He doesn't have the power that Royce Lewis has right now, but he's 22 years old. He also offers some things in terms of defense and in terms of speed and being able to steal bases and such that is beyond what we're seeing right now. Like we're seeing all the hitting, but he offers a lot of those other things as well that tend to keep you around in the major leagues even when you're not hitting. And he is really good. He's got a really good eye at the plate. He doesn't swing at balls outside the zone. He makes good contact. So he's not a all or nothing kind of guy like Sano or Royce Lewis was. So I think you're rightful to be excited about him. Now, I'm not sure. There's no reason to think he's going to have a 1,300 OPS for his career. All right. Like what we're seeing now, we should just enjoy it in the same way.
He's not going to bat 386.
No, we should enjoy it the same way we enjoyed Miguel Sano in 2015. It is must-see viewing right now when he is in the game or when he is up to the bat or in a moment that counts. But yeah, I think you can be excited about him. I think the Twins are excited about him, and I think they're hoping that second base, which has frankly been a little bit of an issue for them for the last couple of years, they've tried a lot of different solutions there, never really found one. Could be locked down now for years and with a impact offensive player.
You mentioned Royce Lewis and his power. He hasn't had a whole lot of power this season. And a guy who once said, basically, I don't slump. I don't know what a slump is, has gone through 2 of the worst slumps you could ever see.
Yep.
There was a stretch maybe, a couple weeks ago where he was starting to figure it out, and now got that batting average up to near 250, and now it's sliding back down again after a little bit of slump. What is your evaluation of Royce Lewis? I'm guessing out of maybe all the Twins, he might be the most disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're wondering what happened to the Twins this year, is that a few of the cornerstone offensive pieces that they thought they had have not really produced. The 2 primary ones were Correa and Lewis. And I mean, they didn't produce to a huge amount. Now Correa's gone, and with him, they get back $20 million. But Royce Lewis is around, and they need him to rebound from what he was, because it's not just like he went from Hall of Fame level kind of production to mediocre production. No, he went from Hall of Fame level to production to like one of the worst producers on the team. I think there was some hope that he would bounce back from it after right around the trade deadline. He certainly was getting some hits and he was showing some power, etc. You're right. I think he's one for like his last.
He got 1 hit last night, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he's been 2 for his last. I'm looking right now.
He's hit some 0 for games.
15 at bats or something. Over the last week. I mean, they're going to just keep trotting him out there. I think we did see, a stretch in June and early July where Rocco was benching him on a regular basis, like once every 3 games. He'd play 2 out of every 3 games, not every game. And we're certainly seeing him bat in the bottom half of the lineup as much as he is in the top half of the lineup. I mean, I think it'd be foolish to give up on Royce Lewis, especially in a season where I'm not sure how much the games of this August and September really count. But I'm also not sure that you want to go into next year saying, okay, we've got one of our 4 core corner pieces is going to be Royce Lewis. I think you've got to treat him right now as a suspect more so than an all-star.
I don't like that it's middle of August and I'm already asking you a question about 2026, but
go ahead.
The rotation moving forward, I think Joe Ryan's had another good year. Pablo Lopez, when healthy, I think we can trust him. Bailey Ober's had a down year. You got, obviously they traded Paddock. You got some questionable young guys and Zebby Matthews and David Festa and Simeon Woods Richardson. And I don't even know what other names they're throwing out. Some guy named Oil was starting the other night.
Pearson Oil, Travis Adams. And then they got a couple guys in the trade deadline as well.
Yeah. So how do you see, after those top two, what do you see as your 3, 4, 5 in the rotation? Obviously, they can also...
Well, this
potentially address in free agency. We don't know the ownership situation.
This is a lot of what we're going to try and figure out in August and September here, right? Yeah. I would say right now, I think they anticipate Bailey Ober being back and being healthy next year. He has been dealing with some sort of hip problem ever since spring training this year. And to the point where they shut him down recently. He was out for 3-4 weeks while he tried to get the inflammation in it or whatever down, get it to calm down a little bit.
And he had a quality start in his last one, right?
His last couple starts have been fine, nothing to write home about necessarily, but it was a decent start. It was a decent start versus the Kansas City Royals, the second worst offense in Major League Baseball. But they're also the second worst offense in Major League Baseball that has owned Bailey Ober. They have owned Ober. So it was an encouraging start for him to go out there and do that. I think if you take a look at Zebby Matthews' stuff, they think Zebby Matthews is going to be fantastic. If you take a look at Simeon Woods Richardson's results, more so than his stuff, he's been pretty good, right? David Festa, I think they had higher hopes for him entering this season than they did for either Matthews or Simeon Woods Richardson. He's also been dealing with some sort of shoulder something this year. What is the case for them all in the spring of next year? Well, I think what we have seen from the Twins, we thought the strength of this starting rotation was going to be how deep it was. And now we are trotting out, I think, probably Travis Adams at some point today and Pearson Ohl every fifth game. Or Urena.
Or an opener.
Right. Or an opener.
And then you throw 5 relievers out there. I haven't heard of any of them.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So, how deep are they? You can never be deep enough when it comes to Major League Baseball. I would just call out the 2 guys that they got in the trade deadline. I would also put in the mix to be seen next year that they have high hopes for because they see a lot of potential. Mick Abel, who they got back from the Philadelphia Phillies in the Joan Duran trade, is already somebody who's seen some time with the Phillies. He wasn't particularly effective in the majors, but he's just getting his feet wet. I think he's had 6 starts or something over there, and I think they've got high hopes for him and his upside. And then Taj Bradley.
They think he's able.
They think he's very able. Yeah. And then they Taj Bradley, who they got back in the Griffin Jacks trade from the Tampa Rays, is actually he was a top probably 20 prospect as a starting pitcher, somebody who's really perceived as high ceiling and hasn't really found the consistency that he needs to be able to dominate. But there's also have him at St. Paul right now. And I think I don't know exactly how they're going to find innings for those guys, but I think they would like to see them back in the majors sometime in August or September to sort of evaluate them for next year.
I saw ESPN rank the top 50 players in Major League Baseball. The Twins had 1 on that list. It's top 50 right now. Byron Buxton was on that list at number 26.
No Joe Ryan.
No, Joe Ryan did not make it. Your thoughts on, is Buxton the 26th best player in the world?
Yeah. I mean, this year he's probably been higher than that, truth be told. I think going into the All-Star break and depending on how healthy you really think he's going to be this year and next, he might have. I think if the Twins were better, he would be getting AL MVP votes, and he still might. He's got some significant bonuses tied to AL MVP votes, by the way, as part of that $15 million guaranteed contract. He had. I think if he gets 3rd place in the AL MVP, he gets $5 million or something like that. I mean, it'd be nice. He's been unbelievable. He's been very, very healthy. And I'm looking forward to, and it feels like that has been the case ever since he had the surgery just before the 2024 season. Now we're still seeing, the occasional shoulder injury or gets hit by a pitch or, gets a slight concussion with running into Carlos Correa or whatever. So, I'm not anticipating him playing 162 games a year. But let's see. Right now he's at 86 games through 106 games. He's on pace for probably 120, 130 games this year. And that's a lot for Byron Buxton. And in those games, he is doing nothing but hitting home runs, stealing bases, stealing base hits. It's been fantastic.
Last question, if you can try to answer this in a minute, I would appreciate it.
Got it.
How do traditional baseball people feel about the Savannah Bananas? Serious question. They're getting more popular. They're on ESPN, national televised now.
I don't think they're terribly popular with the mainstream baseball industry.
The kids love it.
Yeah, of course they do. Well, it's entertainment. How do NBA players feel about the Harlem Globetrotters?
Sure, that's what they are. Yeah.
That's what it is, and great. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. It's one of the hottest tickets in town. It's not meant to be serious baseball. It's meant to be fun baseball, and I think the hardcore baseball people probably don't love that. So,
that being said, I am PGA over Maxi Golf. I'm not a fan of Maxi Golf. You haven't watched Happy Gilmore 2, have you? I have
not seen Maxi Golf. No, sorry.
Yeah, Maxi Golf that's where it crosses the line for me. Not a fan of Maxi Golf. Though it was kind of fun. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Always fun to talk to us. Always talk baseball. Stop by Twins Daily. You can talk baseball with us as well.
And if you want to listen to you on a podcast with another great baseball mind like Aaron Gleeman, where would that be?
Sure, that would be the Gleeman and the Geek podcast. Just search Gleeman and the Geek on Google. You're going to have no trouble finding it. We've got a free podcast every Friday and a Patreon that you can pay a couple bucks for every Monday and Wednesday. So
John Bonus at Twins Geek on X. You can read some of his stuff from his company at twinsdaily.com and listen to him on the podcast Talking Twins every single week at Gleeman and the Geek podcast. Mark Rosen in for the next hour right here on The Fan.
Ice Cube's Big Three is the surprise hit of the summer. This Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS with playoff elimination on the line. The most physical, fiercest, and competitive basketball in the world. Miami's Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson must win to make the playoffs. And breakout star Dwight Howard of the LA Riot will battle Gary Payton's Boston squad in a do-or-die match for both teams. 6 teams are alive for 4 spots and all must win. There's no crying in the Big Three. And the no-holds-barred action starts Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Presented by iHeart.